all, today we are going to be doing something we've never done before. We have not done a video with any fish. So we're going to change that today and make fish kebabs or fish tikkas. These can be made in many different ways, and you're going to find many different recipes for them. But today what we're going to use is a super quick, easy, healthy recipe, and you can use any kind of firm white fish, halibut, tilapia, catfish, sole, any of those will work. We're using catfish today, so around a pound of catfish. Ginger garlic paste, all that means is freshly grated ginger and garlic in equal proportions, and some Greek yogurt, some chickpea flour to bind, some mustard oil. So I do want you all to use mustard oil for this one. That pungency of the mustard oil adds a lot of flavor, and some ground up carom seeds and fenugreek seeds, like half a teaspoon of each. You don't want to overdo this. Less is more for this particular spice mix because it has this bitter flavor, but when used in the right proportion, it's fabulous. So you just take half a teaspoon and grind it together, and that's what we'll be using, and some lemon juice. We are basically going to add all these ingredients to the fish and marinate it for half an hour and then pan fry it. So let's get started. So here are all the ingredients. We are going to be using a little bit more than a pound of catfish cut up into chunky pieces, some ground ginger and ground garlic. I use a microplane to grate ginger and garlic. I mean, not garlic, I use it for ginger, so I grate ginger with a microplane and I don't peel it, and that helps. So this is a teaspoon of ginger and a teaspoon of garlic combined, and along with that we are going to use some fenugreek and carom seeds ground up, half a teaspoon of fenugreek seeds, half a teaspoon of carom seeds. Don't overdo this because it'll get bitter. And you're going to use 2 or 3 tablespoons of chickpea flour, a few tablespoons of Greek yogurt. You don't want very runny yogurt. And some mustard oil for pungency, some lemon juice, some turmeric, some chili powder, and salt. We're going to combine all of this, leave the fish for half an hour, and then pan fry it in mustard oil. So let's get moving. All right, so we have the catfish cut up. To it goes the ginger and garlic, finely minced, and half a teaspoon of turmeric, a teaspoon of chili. Again, if you want it spicier, add more. If you want it milder, add less. And then your carom seed and fenugreek seed mixture, around 3 to 4 tablespoons of Greek yogurt. Basically, you want the yogurt to bind everything, but you don't want it to be soupy or very runny. And some chickpea flour, so 2 to 3 tablespoons of chickpea flour. And this chickpea flour will make like that crunchy coating on top of the fish. So there we go. And some lemon juice. Around 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. You can always squeeze some fresh lemon after it's cooked as well. And then some salt. So a generous amount of salt. And lastly, 2 swirls of mustard oil. And that's it. So now we're going to combine all of this. Just mix it up so that it forms like a coating over all of the fish. And we're going to let this sit for half an hour, and then we will cook it. You can leave it longer, But with fish, it's not needed. So say you left it you did it in the morning and cooked it in the evening, that's totally fine too. But in general, like fish is not like chicken. You don't need to marinate it super long. So it needs a pretty less of a marinade time. Okay, so I'm going to leave this for half an hour and then I'll see you all back in half hour. It's been half an hour and if you see, this is what the fish is looking like. So I'm going to use a non-stick pan. You want to use a non-stick pan for this, and get some mustard oil at the bottom. Make sure your mustard oil is hot before the fish gets in, and you also want to cook the fish in a single layer, so don't overcrowd the pan. Fish doesn't take very long to cook, so you want to make sure that you have crispy fish, and so for that you need it to be in a single layer, or use a bigger pan, but keep it in a single layer. So once the oil is hot, I'm going to start placing it. Did you hear that sizzle? You want to hear that. And I'm on medium-high heat. So I'm just going to do 4 pieces here. And again, don't touch it much, don't do too much to it, just leave it alone so that it forms a crust before you flip it. If you start like fiddling with it, trying to move it, just like chicken, this is even more delicate and it will break, so you don't want that. It's also a good idea to just do 1 piece and check it out to make sure it's flavored well in case you need to add more salt. So that might be a good idea to try it out. Okay, look at this. I flipped it once and this is the color I'm looking for. It's cooked on both sides and it's got a nice crust and it's crunchy. It might be darker on one side than the other. This one's like a little bit darker, which is totally fine. Don't go darker than this. And smushing it a little bit, it's nice and firm, but I don't want to touch it too much. So I'm going to just drain it on paper towels to remove any extra oil, and then I'm going to plate it and show you. See you in a sec. And look at this. These are golden, beautiful pieces of fish. I'm just going to squeeze some lemon onto this. You can serve this with some sort of mint chutney or not. They're delicious on their own, or you can serve them with bread to make it more filling. It can be served as an appetizer or as a part of an entree. Either works, or with dal and rice, and this goes perfectly well too. Give it a try and let me know how it goes. If you have questions, ping me. Happy to answer all your questions, and see you next time.